This is episode 121 of That Shakespeare Life.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Nicholson, researcher of early modern French and English on the early modern stage. Another great method for studying the life of William Shakespeare includes listening to this. It's That Shakespeare Life with my friend Cassidy Cash.
Welcome to That Shakespeare Life with Cassidy Cash. Cassidy believes that if you desire to successfully learn or perform Shakespeare's plays, then understanding the real life and history of William Shakespeare himself is a must. That Shakespeare Life is the podcast that helps you go beyond the curtain of some of Shakespeare's most iconic works and explore the world of early modern England as Shakespeare would have lived it, learning from the writers, historians, and performers who know it best. And now, here's Cassidy.
One of the most romantic moments from Shakespeare's plays is when he writes Henry V stumbling his way through a French declaration of love and wedding proposal to Catherine of Valois in Shakespeare's Henry V. It's a gorgeous scene and one of my personal favorites, but it presents a few questions since England was strongly pro-England at this point in history, even leaning anti-French at times, having taken measures like banning the import of French playing cards during Shakespeare's lifetime. So what was Shakespeare doing when he had one of England's biggest heroes speaking French on stage? Where did Shakespeare learn French in the first place? And does he get the language right? Here to help us explore the use of French in Shakespeare's plays, how the language fit into the life of William Shakespeare, as well as the French language history behind not only Henry V, but also the French that shows up in Hamlet as well, is our guest, Jennifer Nicholson. Jennifer Nicholson is a sessional academic in literary and interdisciplinary studies at the University of Sydney, teaching film, genre, and early modern literature. She researches from the early modern period into the 21st century with a focus on the various edges of the English language in a range of literary forms. Her projects currently span Shakespeare studies, particularly Hamlet, Montaigne, early modern drama, Renaissance books, world literature, untranslatability, and comparative translation. Primarily an early modernist, Jennifer's primary area of interest is currently the presence of French and French English in early modern English playtexts. She's currently working on a longer project concerning English language versions of film produced by Japanese animation company Studio Ghibli. Jennifer has work forthcoming and recently published in edited collections spanning from early modern drama to Anglophone translations of Japanese film. She tweets about her work, her cat, and other general interests at Just Generally, where generally is spelled, as you might expect, with a J. Find more information about Jennifer and her work in today's show notes. Hello, Jennifer. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Today, English is the international trade language that's often taught in multiple schools around the world as a part of a necessary education. But for the 16th century, Jennifer, what was the reigning international trade language? Was it French?
Well, it's kind of a good question. I think we could think of French as one of the international languages in Europe, at least. So if you spoke English, if you're from England and you wanted to go to the mainland, chances were you couldn't find many people who spoke English. It was considered a difficult language to learn and a kind of weird one off to the side. French was spoken quite widely, even in places that aren't now France. So that would have been a pretty good bet. But Italian would have been a pretty good choice as well to learn. Quite a few people spoke Dutch. So a few languages were sort of buzzing around as possible trade languages. French was, however, often the language being used in courts. So if you were an ambassador to another court, to a king or queen or to a lord, having some French was quite useful. And lots of royal and courtly households made sure that their children could speak both French and Italian because they were very useful languages for politics as well as trade.
Excited to see more? Subscribe today at cassidycash.com/experience to watch this entire interview, bonus archaeological footage, and documentaries, and more, all about the life of William Shakespeare. I'll see you inside